Well, I'm installing some different handlebars on the 91 Sportster, and they say they fit stock. They're a little wider, a couple inches wider on each side. They got a little higher rise, and they pull back just a hair more. You can see the angle. So that brings it up probably another 2 inches or something like that. That's perfect. Then we'll get them up on here, and I think the brake line is going to fit no problem, because you see that this, you could straighten this out, unbolt it here, put a rubber hose, and have the rubber hose be in there with the clamp, and that should work. So then the last thing would be to get the bigger gas tank, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to get. There's a Twisted Choppers has one that's a 3.8. That looks like the peanut tank. It has like a 3.8 gallon that has like a little sculpted thing in here. But I want to make sure that they got the petcock on that side where the carburetor is. Now I know Lowbrow Customs makes a 3.5. They could have the petcock on both sides. It's definitely going to fit, but it's 0.3 gallons less. But then again, I'm not even sure if this 3.8 advertisement is correct on this other one too, so who knows. I want to check around. You could put a 4.2 Paco on there. It's called an axed gas tank. I guess that's what my other one is. It's a 3.8. I think it's not a Mustang. It's called an axed. It's like more, it's taller. It's like, I don't know, it looks like a Sportster gas tank or something. That'd be about the biggest one you could fit on this thing. But 3.8 gallon would be all right. But that's why I'm putting the bars on it, partly because gas tank options, but this way the bike will be set up a lot more similar to the other one. The brakes are similar, the clutch is similar, set them up better. So we'll get this thing on here. Looks pretty simple and straightforward. You got some Loctite blue, and we're all set. Well, the handlebars are installed, and whoops, tripping over the old one there. It's kind of rusty anyway. And clean these mirrors up. So they're a lot wider. You're wider, a little higher, swoop back a little more. Kind of makes it feel like a bigger bike, you know, with the Mustang seat. And say I got a bigger gas tank, so maybe if I even got the 4.2 Paco Axe gas tank, I'd have to measure it out and see if it would fit. That would be a possibility. I don't think I want to do that right now, because it's really going to be well over $400 when you're talking about doing a coating on the tank and the paint, right? Probably the simplest things would get that 3.8 gallon Legacy from Twisted Cycles. It's only 4/10 of a difference, and it's got like a little bit of an insert in here like that. But I'm asking them if they got the petcock on this side. So those the windshield comes off nice and quickly. You got these two things on here. All the controls work. Everything works. I had to take these bolts out and run the wires. These wires were like on the inside over here. I had to run them to the outside. The brake cable, I was able to stretch it, and I put a rubber thing here with what do you call it, zip tie, holding the rubber in place, which has this loop which holds it to the neck, the upper neck, whatever you call that. So that's okay. Everything works. The throttle works, snaps back fine. There's no play in it. Horn works, all the directionals work, everything. So that worked out good for just the price of the handlebar. So now with I had these 3.5 inch risers from the other bike, and I cleaned them up. You know, I used a nylon brush on it, cleaned them with brake cleaner. Then I just truck bed linings, so they're black. A lot of them come in black anyway, so truck bed lining should last pretty long. And actually, if it doesn't, you just touch them up. So that brought it up 2 more inches, and then with the rise in this bar, it's like 2 more inches. It's a good thing I didn't go any more than that, because if I did, you see how this thing is just reaching? This is just reaching. It's kind of tight, right? But it works. Kind of works. It works. So heck with it. It works. The brake line just reached. The wires just reached. The throttle cables just reached. The clutch cable, I probably could have went a little more on that. You know, I don't know if I should want to put it around this way. Probably like that. Probably put it like that. Yeah, put it like that. This was before the clutch cable was under this, so now I got it over. So that'll work. That'll work. So, like I said, everything on it works. Turn the key on. You got your directionals, both sides, your horn, your brake light in the back. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Works. It works with the handle, right? So everything's cool. So I'll probably take it out for a ride. Everything's nice and tight. Everything's clean. So this I couldn't quite get into here all the way because, well, this is supposed to go just a little further that way, but that'll be okay. That'll be all right. Just a, you know, a little over not even a 1/4 inch there. So, or 3/16 of an inch. Because this was kind of tight, and that's about all I can pull at. I don't know. Maybe I can get a little further, but it's good. It's good. Doesn't have to be absolutely flawless, you know. It just got to work good. But the bars, the reason these bars are like several, at least a few inches wider, so that pull the cables a little more too, besides them being up and back a little more. But it does make it feel like a bigger bike. You get a little bit bigger gas tank on it, and with these Mustang seat, you know, this is actually very cheap because, you know, usually when you change handlebars, you go just a little too far and change risers and handlebars. You're buying new throttle cables. You're buying you might even be messing with the wiring in here. You know, you're buying clutch cable, brake cable. And I didn't have to do nothing except buy the handlebar, and it was discounted. So, and the old handlebar, I cleaned up a lot, but you can see, yeah, still got rust pitting on it. I'm gonna clean it up the rest of the way while it's off, but there's a lot of rust pitting on this thing. Not that I would never change it for that, but it's good that, you know, it's a little bit, just a little bit more. Combined with the risers, you know, your hands are out a lot further, so you got, you know, feels like you're cruising on a much bigger bike. That's the beauty of Sportsters. I mean, you know, the other side of this issue with Sportsters, upgrading a Sportster. If you keep upgrading it too much, you might as well get a bigger bike. If you're just gonna ride it for like touring a lot of times, get a bigger bike. But my point on the Sportster is 99% of the time, I don't go over 50 miles. The bike will easily do a couple hundred miles. You know, I got no problem with doing a couple hundred miles on this bike. Very rarely do I even do that. So if you get this big 750 to 900 pound bike and you're riding it like 50 miles most of the time, it's stupid. You know, it's sort of like an ego thing half the time. That's what I think is going on with a lot of the Harley world, you know. It's kind of stupid, so. But the other side of it is too, these Evo Sportsters are, you know, hands down, you go look around even on the YouTube videos, they'll tell you, like, you know, top 10 most reliable motorcycles, any brand, they'll tell you it's Sportster, Evo Sportster. So, you know, not that anything is fail safe, everything breaks, but this one, you don't have the problem with the twin cam tensioners and stuff. Not that that's a major problem if you watch it, but the thing is, you know, that's why, you know, the only expensive thing that's like everything I did on this was cheap. To you know, I changed the ignition switch. It was 21 bucks. I had to change. I changed the fork oil, and I put these caps on it with the inserts. Those were like 50 bucks, $53. Put the little windshield on it. It was about 100 bucks. But you'll do that with any bike, big or small windshield, right? The four caps, the same thing, same garbage, whether it's a big one or not. I had to put a horn on it for 10 bucks. I had the side plates and a little sissy bar. I put the tool bag on it. That could have been for the big bike too. Same difference. As far as anything like I had to do this just because it was a Sportster, maybe against the handlebars. But then, you know, maybe the big one would have been set up wrong where I didn't like it or something, or I don't like forward controls. It's a lot of big ones got forward controls. So, you know, this was definitely a cheaper route to do, and it's good. It's very good for working with my other bike, because my other bike is an 89, and I'm kind of familiar with working on them just because I got an 89, and this one's a 91. So, and it's a chain drive. Very happy with this thing. So I'm going to take it out, give it a little test drive, and see how I like it. What I'm going to like about this, though, is like when you're on the bike and you're sitting on it, not only are your hands a little more higher up. Let me get on this thing. None of your hands are just a little higher up. It's like when you go to turn the wheel, you're not so, your arm isn't so stretched out. It's like you can have your elbow bent a little more, and I like having my arm in a little bit like that. It kind of locks into my body more, so my body is all connected with my arm and everything, more locked in. When I have it up a little higher and a little bit more towards me, especially just up a little higher, because this way, before I was like leaning forward a little more, so my bars were like, with the other one, it was down maybe about that much more. So now, you know, this, it's like, it was like over here. So I kind of leaned forward a little bit. So now it's up a little higher. So, you know, if you're on a highway or something, you can put your feet on the highway pegs and boom, you know, you're just rolling along. The windshield is set up just perfect. I can look right over it. I don't get, I put my hand right about here. There's hardly any wind. There's a lot of wind coming out. It hits my shoulders from the side of this thing, but the center of my body, it blocks a lot of the wind. I'm still getting a lot of wind, but not nowhere near as bad. And then it blocks it away from my eyes, where, you know, this, because this goes, even though I'm looking right over it and I'm not looking through this, it's like I'm looking, the wind is going up like that, like up here. It's going up over my head. You got to set these things up just right. And then if I want to take this off, these just come right off. You know, it's like nothing. The thing comes right off. It's a great little windshield. You know, a lot of people don't put them on because they say it doesn't look cool or something, but, you know, you hardly even notice this thing. So that's how I look at it. You know, the windshield is like, it's such a small windshield, it's clear. You don't even notice it's on there. You're looking at the bike, and you're just like, so. Oh, I had to put the shorter kickstand on it too, because it was didn't lean over enough with the lowered shocks. But yeah, and I put the long stem mirrors on it, all like safety stuff. But yeah, if I get the big gas tank on it, this thing's gonna be one sweet little ride, because as I've been riding it, I've been finding out that you know, I had to keep turning the idle down, like, because it's clearing out all the junk. So, you know, I turned it down, and the last time I was riding, I just did like 35 miles, and the thing was idling up like, you know, I don't know, 1,500, 1,700 RPM, and I had to turn it down even more. So it's cleaning out all the junk from riding around. So I think this bike is going to eventually get close to 60 miles to the gallon. So if you got a tank that's like 3.8 gallons or 4.2 gallons, it's going to have a pretty good range. Because actually, when you talked about the bikes from, what is it, from the 80s, the Evos, not the like, you know, the FL models or something like that, electric glides and stuff. But I'm talking about the, when they had like the Super Glides, the ones before the Dyna. Those older Super Glides, they didn't have a 4.9 gallon tank or like a 5 gallon tank. They had like a 4 or 4.2. So, you know, I can get this bike somewhere in that range, a 3.8 to a 4.2 gallon tank, and get something like that on this. So in a way, it's you can make this Sportster kind of do not everything, but you can kind of make it. I think the only bike I really like is a Super Glide, unless you're touring a real lot, and it's Super Glide. But the only thing I really consider in the bigger ones, and maybe, you know, they just, I don't know. I mean, maybe the smallest of the electric glides, which is the Road King, because the cops use it. But that's a big bike to be messing around, taking 10-mile trips and stuff. It's just a pain in the butt. Cops use the electric glide because when they get on that bike, they're on it all day. You know, that's why they got an electric glide and they got all this equipment. The average biker probably would, I'd say, You know, if the Dyna was more, if the Dyna had an engine as reliable as the Sportster Evo, I'd definitely lean to the Dyna. You know, but you could still, it's 6 of one and a half dozen another. You whatever, what's the Dyna, if you put the right stuff in it with you know, the right kit for the cam plate, the cam shoes, you're never going to have a problem with it either, especially if you keep after it and stuff. But one thing I do like about these bikes, the fact that you got the gear drive in the cams. I don't know why they did this. And I think the older panheads had it like that when he had like the first came out with like the shovels. They had like the panhead on the bottom, the panhead bottom end, like what didn't have the cone style. I like that better. This is kind of like that, except the transmission is all incorporated into the same case. I don't know why they couldn't make like the big one, like the Sportster style engine with the separate transmission and just a 5-speed. You don't need a 6-speed. 5-speed is absolutely plenty. 6-speed is like, with these motors, 5-speed is absolutely plenty because the torque curve is so long. 6-speed is ridiculous in these motors. If you made this motor like a Sportster motor bigger, the same style, and he had a separate transmission. I saw one guy a long time ago. He had a Sportster, and it was in he had the engine, and he modified the frame, and he had the old 4-speed from like the panhead or shovel, and he had that in there, and he had like the belt drive for the primary. He had like a belt. He had that. I was like, man, that's freaking awesome with a kickstart. I was like, see, that to me, that's the best. You know, if you had like the Sportster type engine with a separate transmission, the bike is a little more narrow, and you know, if you lengthen the frame a little more. But you know what Harley does? They don't invent anything. They copy everything the freaking aftermarket does. Even that Sportster 48 with the fat tire in the front, they were doing that stuff a long time ago. The Fat Boy, they were doing that a long time before the Fat Boy came out. You know, they were putting narrow, you know, narrow glide up on the front, like before the Super Glide. They were doing that a long time before that. Bobbers, the bobber look, that was freaking ages before that. You know, but see, now there's less people that are doing this kind of stuff in their garages. So it's not like Joe Schmo, everybody's doing this stuff in their garage. They're always modifying this stuff. It's like, it's usually like specialized shops. Back in the 60s, everybody's doing this. Everything was rattle can, spray can too. Which, by the way, I'm going to paint the tank with a rattle can, but I'm going to use 2K clear. So when you got the 2K clear, the paint is like just as good as factory if you lay it on there right. It's a real hard paint. So very happy with this thing. So I'm gonna just take it out. And that's my that big backpack back there. That's my luggage. I can fit a ton of stuff back there without even putting saddlebags on it, and it's on there good. So the old cheapo way, and it's a good ass bike, and I'm freaking happy as heck with this damn thing. I took it out. It's running really good. No problem, man. No problem. Works fine. The only thing it needs is more range on that gas tank. 2.2 gallons ain't gonna cut it. So yeah, it's the handlebars seem like you have more control over the bike. It took a little bit. They're still kind of getting used to them, but it seems like you're, I don't know, you got more leverage or something. So good to go. Good to go. Very happy with it. This bike turned out to be a deal and a half.